In my wife?
Yes. I mean, you saw her and it's like, that's the person. But what were you looking for? Or you have no list in that sense?
No. I as I mentioned in my earlier discussion with you, that I had gone through a very bad patch at that time. And I was looking for something different in a relationship. I was, very, just came out of a bad relationship, a long-term relationship. So I was looking for something different, and Megan, I pursued her because I saw God spoke to me. You know, when the Bible speaks that the baby in Elizabeth leapt when Mary walked in with the baby Jesus in her, I think that's what happened. Something leapt inside of me. So I pursued Megan for months. I set up things so that we could meet.
To cry.
Yeah, I could set up things so we could meet, and always seeing her going off with another guy or something, and we're like, Lord, are you sure? You said to me, and then eventually when we did get together, God took us on another journey again, because we were pregnant before we got married.
Yes.
So that was another thing. She comes out of a Methodist background. I come, as I mentioned, out of a Catholic background. It was frowned upon. Back then, being pregnant before you were married was a big thing.
Yes.
Not like today. It's every second person is now.
And it was good the way it was then.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, and I had just gone through my experience of giving my heart to the Lord. So there was a lot of condemnation again from
So tell me about, this is important here. First of all, this same period was when you guys gave your life to Christ.
Yes.
And
just before
the pregnancy.
Well, no. I think I was going through that period of giving my heart to the Lord.
Okay.
Then we felt pregnant.
Okay.
And then there was condemnation. So you're going like, did we do the right thing now? What's the people? And then we had a pastor come to us and say to us, listen, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. But don't be out in the world. Come to church. Because we said, no, we can't come to church.
Yeah.
And he said,
we're not married.
Please come.
And he said,
please come, at least be in the flock rather than out there where the world is. Jim, our pastor Stan, we got married in that church.
Wow.
First we got baptized.
No, we got married first.
Oh, yeah.
We got married first. Then we got baptized in that church.
Wow, together.
Yes.
And then we were in leadership in the church. And when that pastor retired, we took over the church.
Wow.
He installed us as the leaders of the church.
That's a father there.
That is a father. You see what I'm saying when I spoke about fatherhood? That I had good role models.
So that would have been a point of disaster for you.
Yes.
Could have been. It really could have been.
How did you face that? Coming from the Methodist church, how did you...
Well,
he said about his own part of the emotions, the guilt. How did you...
Yes. I think, for me, I was 25 at the time that we met and I felt pregnant. And saying I'm coming from a Methodist church, having said that, we weren't active in the church. I wasn't active in the church.
Born again,
I wasn't born again. None of that. I mean, I knew the concept of God and, Jesus Christ and his son, and I knew all the Sunday school songs and those kinds of things and a couple of scriptures. So I was just kind of there, and I think for me there was some condemnation because that wasn't my plan. It really wasn't in my plan. And I had to think about what I wanted to do with the rest of my life and, did I want to do it with this guy? And then there was going back to Zimbabwe and saying to my parents, I'm going to have it. And I couldn't. I really couldn't. So my elder sister did that for me. She went to them because my parents were divorced, so she had to go to both sets of parents and explain to them what had happened. And then the funny thing is that my father came up to South Africa twice during the pregnancy. He didn't, those days there were no cell phones, or you had to write a letter or make a phone call, and you couldn't leave a message. And so he had 2 trips that were very impromptu trips. And on both of those trips, he thought, I'm going to go through Johannesburg and try and meet this guy. And he didn't. So twice he came to South Africa and he was away both times. And so that was quite an interesting one. And my father Zane spoke earlier, I think, in your guys' conversations about what a boy wants and what a girl needs. And one thing my father always spoke into his daughters, there are five daughters and one son. What he always spoke into us was about our value, you know, and Zane said that if a man tells his daughter first that he loves her, that he's proud of her, that she's capable, then in her looking for a partner, for somebody to share her life with, she's already had that fed into her. She's already had it planted in her, so that when she starts looking, she doesn't fall for the first guy that whispers sweet nothings in her ear or buys her extravagant gifts, because she already has that, and she's got that substance. And I had that. And when
That's
I told
why
Zane,
I worked so hard.
yes,
I worked so hard.
Your formulas that you use for it,
yes, no. And when I told him that I was pregnant, he asked me, and I don't know if you remember, but he asked me to marry him. He said, "Do you want me to marry you?" And I said no, because I didn't want to get married for the sake of a baby. And I mean, we knew each other, but we hadn't been together
for a long while,
years and years, you know. So I said no.
You wanted to get to know him.
Yes, and also I wasn't sure that I wanted to be with this man for the rest of my life. But I think in that process, God is so gracious in everything. You know, the book of Romans tells us that He works all things together for our good, and for because we're called. And if I look back at how everything worked out in that time, you can see God's hand on the decisions we made, the conversations we had, how our families responded, and how we met Pastor Stan Carolus, and how we eventually came together, and how he has carried us through this journey, and it has worked together for our good, for His purpose.
I'm talking about working together 30 years after this year.
Yes.
Zane, what do you say is the secret?
Please like this video and leave a comment below. Let's know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell button and share this video with somebody else.